from the campus of Bowling Green State University.
Thanks for joining us this week on BG24 News. I'm Mariah Clausen. The search is over. BGSU has officially announced their new head coach. Ryan Strodbeck has more from the Stro.
The university welcomed their newest head football coach. Scott Loeffler and his family were welcomed by administration, Falcon fans, and media inside the Stro Center. Scott Loeffler, while having plenty of coaching experience behind some Hall of Fame football coaches, has never been a head coach until now. He says he's excited to get started and become a big part of the Bowling Green football tradition.
Wonderful opportunity. It's got a great reputation academically and obviously with the football, and I'm ecstatic to be a part of it.
Loeffler, since agreeing to become the head football coach at Bowling Green State University, said he has continuously been reaching out to football recruits and recognizes that this is an area of importance for the Falcon football team.
It's one of the first things that you do is make sure you do a great job of establishing relationships with the kids that are currently committed here, and we'll recruit those kids every day.
Having grown up in Barberton, Ohio, Scott Loeffler knows the importance of high school head coaches and the impact they have on the recruiting trail.
Being from the state of Ohio, being in coaching at the University of Michigan to gain great relationships, but through the Ohio high school coaches. Not only is my job is to hire a great staff, my job is to bring great football players into our great university. And how that is done? Through great high school football coaches.
Scott Loeffler will become the 20th head coach of BGSU football, and he believes that he can get the Falcon football team back to their winning ways.
After more than 50 years at BGSU, 12 Mosaic titles will be returned to the Republic of Turkey. Researchers found that the mosaics were taken during illegal archaeological digs. The tiles were purchased in 1965, which was approved by former BGSU president William Jerome. Once in Turkey, they will be displayed in a museum. Downtown Bowling Green hosted the Our Best Hometown Holiday Parade this past Saturday. The parade was filled with various groups, organizations, and businesses in Bowling Green. This past year, Bowling Green was named one of Ohio's best hometowns by Ohio Magazine. To achieve this title, a consideration of the energy from the city, the healthy historic downtown, strong sense of community feel, and a shared vision for the future are all taken into account. The theme of this year's parade tied directly into this achievement, showcasing all the different outlets Bowling Green has to offer. It can be easy to say many are proud of this achievement in the city. If you have a passion for varieties of music, join the Record Listening Club. Reporter Kalia Ivory has more.
The Record Listening Club allows its members to enjoy music of all kinds. The Record Listening Club meets once a month to explore and appreciate music. Each week, a presenter shares the background and songs of an album, and the club discusses and evaluates it. Club organizer Lindy Smith described the group.
Not to be too cheesy or anything, but taking the idea of a book club and putting a new spin on it by making it a record club. So we have a huge collection upstairs. We have about 1 million sound recordings of popular music in the Bill Shark Sound Archives. And so this was a really cool way to get people to pick an album that was important to them and talk about it and highlight some of the things in our collections.
Any member of the club is allowed to present a record of their choice. The club provides a snack and totes for its attendees. Presenter Jacqueline Hudson explained her choice of Michael Jackson's Off the Wall for the past meeting.
That was his album that he was the defining moment of him becoming a child star to an adult. And, he was so used to being, known as the, performing bubblegum pop. But, this album was really funky. And as a kid, I used to love listening to that album.
The Record Listening Club is welcome to staff, students, and the general public. Reporting from BG24 News, I'm Kalia Ivory.
On Dunbridge Road, there's a car museum just off of Route 6. Reporter Nick Downby went to see one man's collection turned into a living museum.
Snook's Dream Car's exterior is a replica of a Texaco gas station from the 1940s. Inside the museum, visitors can look at vintage bicycles, toy cars, and memorabilia. The museum was created by Jeff Snook as a way to honor and display his late father's collection. The main showroom is home to several American and British cars. Important vehicles like the Willys Jeep from World War II or the Lotus 11 from the 1956 24 Hours at Le Mans race are on display. Every car on display rests on batteries to keep them ready to run whenever Jeff wants.
You step back in time a little bit. It's a totally different experience, and I just like experiencing driving an old car.
Also at Snooks is a garage where vintage and foreign cars can be serviced.
Every day is kind of different. There's never one day that's just normal.
Snooks Dream Cars' vast collection of local and worldwide automotive history is on display in Southeast Bowling Green. Nick Dombey reporting for BG24 News.
When we come back, a look at your weather. Now we go to Kendall Linnenkugel for a look at the weather. Kendall?
Thanks, Mariah. We have a brief warm-up this weekend with some rain in the forecast before we finally get to around average temperatures for this time of the year. Right now, we are at about 31 degrees right now. We have had an overcast, and that's basically lasted basically the whole course of the day. We have an east wind right now at about 9 miles an hour, and that is expected to go into the course of tonight. As we take a look at this tonight, the temperature isn't expected to change. We do have a low of 31 as well as right now. The winds will shift southeast and they will go down to 7 miles an hour. We do have a 30% chance of precipitation, but we are going to start seeing some showers form a little bit after midnight, and that is going to start setting the trend for a brief warm-up this weekend, as I mentioned earlier. Friday, we have a high of 39. It's only a slight chance of rain, 30%, but Saturday is going to be our weather maker. High of 50, but we do have a 100% chance of rain, and we are expected to see from a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch of rain. Now Sunday, high 54. It's looking pretty good for the beginning of December. We do have a slight chance of rain again. And as we get into Monday and Tuesday, more rain and snow in the forecast with highs of 39 and 34. That's it for weather this week. Back to you, Mariah.
Thanks, Kendall. So you're predicting rain. What will that mean for the morning commute?
Well, with the rain tonight, if you do take a look at the forecast again, the temperatures are going to linger right around freezing, if not go just a little bit below. So that could mean that the rain does fall. It will freeze on contact on the road. So that might mean some slick and icy conditions as you go into your forecast or your morning commute.
Thanks. So what will that mean? How long will the warmer temperatures last?
Unfortunately, the temperatures are only going to last until Wednesday. After Wednesday, we are going to have highs back into the low to mid 30s, so it's going to be just in time for the start of December.
Awesome. Well, as long as there's snow for the holidays. Since the 70s, a man remains the only person in a Rocky Mountain town. Aaron Kelly tells us to occupy himself. He recorded weather data every day for the past 45 years.
Traveling across Ohio and across the region, finding new places and meeting new people with interesting stories to share with you. Come along for Aaron is Everywhere.
What I really wanted all my life was to meet somebody and get married. I was just awful romantic. It was so important to me, and I was so socially inept. It just got harder and harder all the time.
His kitchen is clean up casserole dishes on Thanksgiving. Instead of turkey, Billy Barr's oven smells like Indian food. Since he has no family around to celebrate with, he's had to make up his own versions of holidays.
When I first built this house, I had a little Norfolk pine that was growing in here. I would get 12-volt lights and put it around it. This is how geeky I've always been. I would get my mail for the 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas and not open it. I would sit it under the tree and then I would open it. But a long time ago, I kind of stopped. And no one sends letters anymore anyway.
Billy says he doesn't really get lonely because he's not completely alone.
So there was a pine marten that was living in the back. And it would come, the back had collapsed, but it was still like a structure, and it would live in there. And she would come in at night, wander around the house, and hang around the house for 3 years. We lived together. See, so I do have a social life. One winter there was a skunk. Skunks are klutzy, they are not good climbers. So this thing would climb down that post and it couldn't get out. So it'd be stuck in the house. So what I started to do was get behind it, open the door, and push it with a broom out the door, and once it got out of the door, I would whack it to teach it not to come in the house, because when it comes in the house, it gets whacked and it doesn't want to do that. What the skunk learned was it didn't get whacked until it got outside. So one day I tried to push it and it planted itself on the floor and would not move. I couldn't sweep it out. So finally I pushed it hard and I flipped it over on its back. That's when it's defenseless because it can't spray. So it immediately flipped back up and sprayed inside the house. We're talking about an 8 by 10 foot shack that you couldn't, I mean, for 2 days it stunk. And I tried all these things. I poured kerosene on the floor and lit it on fire. I had a can of ketchup. Someone said tomato soup. I didn't have that. And I spread that on the floor because I was told that took up odors.
In his spare time, Billy knits his own gloves for such cold weather. But he realizes his lifestyle isn't for everyone.
The problem is the life I live is not very appealing to a lot of people and definitely not easy to a lot of people. To me it is, but it's harsh. I mean, you know, I have to ski 8 miles to go into town and get groceries and come back.
When Billy was 21 years old, he moved into an abandoned mining shack. To pass the time, he monitored the weather and kept record of the data.
Oh, here. Snowshoe hare, a shrew, and a skunk. White-tailed ptarmigan. That's a nice winter bird.
He gave his records to a local research lab 3 years ago.
I feel like I'm doing at least a little good. You know, I lived out all by myself. Who was I helping? Maybe me. But I wasn't really helping anybody. I do it because it's enjoyable to have that information, but I also feel like maybe I'm doing at least a little bit of a benefit. I lost that of what I wanted most in life, really, to be honest, but I gained other stuff.
Reporting for BG24 News, I'm Erin Kelly.
Thanks for joining us this week for BG24 News. For today's stories and more, follow us on social media and make sure to visit bgfalconmedia.com for all your campus and community news.